What's up, everybody? I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. This is another episode in my cheap Chad Destroyer series where we take a look at guns that are often overlooked in Tarkov but still have the potential to drop just about any enemy that you can come across, and do that with pretty good value and are relatively inexpensive. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or even subscribing to the channel. All that stuff helps me out a ton. I'm super excited to also announce that we finally have merch. This is something that I've been working on in the background for quite a while. We've got hoodies, long sleeve shirts, snapback hats. I'm super excited about the snapback, a bunch of stuff. I'm super excited to finally launch this. So if you're interested in any of that, all those links will be down below. But with all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So in this video, we are talking about the ADAR. Now, you see these all over Tarkov. You see scavs with them. They're really, really cheap, and not many people really use them as guns to actually like go into a raid with your PMC. And that kind of makes sense. The meta in Tarkov is oftentimes high fire rate, full auto weapons that you can kind of just mag dump and spray down. And that is kind of the most effective way to do things. But this series and a lot of my content on my channel is all about how to either change things up or learn a different play style, or be able to learn ways where you can kind of go against the meta and still be effective. And the ADAR is something that I've used a ton in the past and had a lot of fun with. And using semi-auto weapons can oftentimes help your trigger discipline and help with your aim, because you're having to be more accurate and you're paying the price for being inaccurate. So it can be a good way to learn a new play style, or just a good way to drop enemies for much, much cheaper. So the ADAR it shoots 5.56, so it's going to be all the same rounds as the M4s and the HKs, and it's really inexpensive. So right from the trader, right from the get-go, as soon as you start playing Tarkov from skier level 1, you can barter for one of these with a rec battery. So these are actually fairly common in filing cabinets and stuff like that, so you can barter for these immediately, and you can find them on scavs. They're not hard to find. If you want to purchase them straight up from skier level 2, they're 34,000 rubles. But oftentimes you can find them on the flea market for even cheaper than that, as low as 20,000 rubles. I know it's important for me to always show the trader price, because a lot of times if I make a video about something, then the price might go up temporarily. But even from the trader, they're really inexpensive. Now, the thing about semi-auto guns is that they don't require as much modification to make them usable, right? Because recoil isn't going to matter as much. You know, the stock, I guess, stats, 92 vertical recoil, 252 horizontal, decent ergo right off the get with 61, but you're not firing full auto, so it's not as important. I mean, you definitely want a lower recoil so that you can be putting more shots on target and like tapping quicker, but it's very usable, just completely stock standard. What's nice is that it comes like the upper has the Picatinny rail on top, so that you can put just about any optic. It might come with a rear sight, depending on if you find it from a scav or if you buy it off the flea market. And you can just remove that and put any optic you want on it. Now, when you start talking about modifications and putting optics on it, the thing is the front sight is also a gas block. So you can't just remove the front sight, and you can't remove the front sight in raid. So if if I found one of these in raid and then found an like a scav that had a shotgun with a PKO6, and you put the PKO6 on the ADAR, the front sight is going to interfere there. But what's nice is that they made the Mark 10 gas block available, the Mark 12 low profile gas block available from mechanic level 1 for only 5,000 rubles. So once again, even if you're a level 1 fresh all the way up to veteran players, you can remove the front sight and put that gas block on, and then now you don't have any sort of interference with any optic that you're going to put on. So a very inexpensive modification that allows you to have a much clearer sight picture. What's cool about the ADAR is that, once again, it uses 5.56, so all of the M4 or HK mags are afforded to you, and there's so many of them. A lot of times with certain weapons, like Val or VSS 30 rounders are really expensive. MP7 40 rounders can be pretty expensive. There's so many mags. There's probably 15 or 20 different 30 round mags that take 5.56 in Tarkov. So you can find them in raid all the time on scavs, on raiders, and you can purchase them for pretty cheap. You've got 10 and 20 round mags, which are cool for just inexpensive. Smaller, you can bring more of these, and especially since you're single tapping with an ADAR, you can just kind of reload more often. Got 40 round mags, 60 round mags, 100 round mags, however you want to do it. I wouldn't suggest running a 100 round mag, but however you wanted to do it, there's options, and the more options there are, that means the more affordable those options are oftentimes. And you can really kit this out however much you want. Because it's basically an M4, you can modify them just as much as you can modify an M4, and you can do some crazy stuff with it. Like this is just an example of like a crazy ergo build. You know, there's no real reason. This is definitely not in budget. But if you wanted to, if you like using semi-auto weapons, it's incredibly modular, and you can put just about anything you want on it. This build, a lot of people ask me all the time what gun to use for Shooterborn in Heaven. This is what I use almost every wipe to complete Shooterborn in Heaven. You can buy an ADAR ridiculously cheap. You get your hands on any sort of like 4X, 6X optic, either purchasing it or finding it in raid, and slap a suppressor on here and you're good to go. Once again, Shooterborn in Heaven, you're not going to be mag dumping. Recoil does not matter as much. And this requires very little modification. You put the Mark 12 on there, the KAC adapter, and the NT4 suppressor. Those can all be purchased from Peacekeeper, depending on your level, or once again, any 5.56 suppressor that you can find off of players or in raid, you can just put on this very, very cheap. And then that way you're not having to spend a ton of money every time you're trying to get Shooterborn in Heaven done. That can be a really rough task, especially for people trying to complete it for the first time or going for Kappa for the first time. So this is always, always, always my recommendation for Shooterborn in Heaven. Another cool thing about the ADAR is that people think that they're cheap and bad, especially when they see this wood furniture, because they're like, oh, that's just a stock ADAR. And they're oftentimes going to leave it. I can't tell you how many times I would get this back either with just the optic missing, just the suppressor missing, or whatever. And then I only have to buy 1 or 2 components and then just run it again. So you get these back from insurance quite a bit. So, you know, you run 5, 6, 7 of them, and over the next few days, you're just going to be cycling those same ones in and out because of insurance oftentimes. So that's the ADAR. The ammo that you use, once again, is 5.56, but we can kind of briefly break down the 3 most used ammos, which is 5.56A1, 5.5A1, and 9.95. Now, there really isn't any, at least in-game, reason to be using the lower pen, like higher damage, like War Mage, or really anything in between. I think if you're brand new to the game, 8.55, I believe, is your best option, but it doesn't take long to get up to the ability to buy the better ammos. Higher pen is just, in the current meta of Tarkov, the way to go. If you're using a semi-auto, going for head taps is probably the play. And if you're going for head taps, a lot of times you don't need as meta of ammo because face shields are often either non-existent on the player or they are of a lower class. You know what I mean? There aren't that many class 5 face shields. Even, you know, the exfil and the airframe face shields are class 3. So, but from level 2 level 2 Peacekeeper. So as soon as you level him up to level 2, which isn't that hard to do, you have the ability to buy 5.6A1, which has 37 pen and 51 damage. 37 pen is the same as BT for 5.45 for like AKs and stuff like that. And BT is a round that's used even relatively late wipe because there's nothing really that sits between BT and the really expensive ammos. So 5.6A1, it used to be the kind of like second best before they buffed 5.5A1. You can buy 300 of them. It's $3 a round. It's pretty worth it. I mean, you can definitely get away with using this. Once again, 37 pen, class 3 or 4 face shields are going to be pretty easy to get through. But that's 5.6A1. 5.5A1 is purchasable once you get to level 3 Peacekeeper. And this is also available for $3, interestingly enough. And this has 43 pen and 45 damage. So this has kind of become the meta. The other one is M995, which is just basically worthless. It's got a ton of pen, but it's 15 USD. This video is called Cheap Chad Destroyers. I would not recommend you purchasing this round. You can only buy 60 of them, and it's $15 per round. And to be honest with you, it's just not worth that in my opinion. So 5.5A1 has kind of become the meta for 5.5.6. I mean, of course, if you kill a player that has 9.9.5, you're not going to be able to put it on the flea market, so you might as well use it. Those head taps are going to be really clean, but 5.5A1 is oftentimes the meta. You can also buy 5.5A1 from Skier as well. I believe it's level 2. Actually, it's level 4, so it's all the way up to level 4, but you have the ability to buy a little bit extra. 355 rubles and 3 USD isn't that bad. That's a pretty good price to performance ratio for that round. The problem is that you can buy 120 from, I believe, Peacekeeper and 90 rounds from Skier. So that's not a lot of rounds per reset. So what I do is normally, like, I'll just, every time I log on to the game, every few hours of that I'm playing, I'll purchase as much 5.5A1 as I can. And then when I start running low, I'll just run some other guns. But like I said, 5.6A1, you can buy 300 per reset. So between the two of those, you can get really good ammo and a decent amount of it every reset. And you're blowing through much, much less ammo when you're using a semi-auto gun. So it's going to last that much longer. So that's the ADAR. I hope that this, I don't know, maybe brought a new gun to your attention. This is something that a lot of times we see all the time. But in my opinion, it's cheap. It's using the same round that the meta HK boys are using. You're just not shooting it at 900 rounds per minute. You're just having to be accurate and tap, with it. This thing can be great long range. It can be great close range. If you are accurate, you can do high ergo builds. You can get the recoil down if you want. It's incredibly versatile, relatively inexpensive, and has the ability to drop even the most geared targets if you're using the right ammo and you're aiming in the right places. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this, gives you a new perspective, whether you're struggling with money and you're looking for cheap guns that are actually usable and functional in the game, or you're just trying to switch up the play style or teach yourself a new skill. Hopefully this kind of shows why the ADAR is a really cool gun to use, and maybe you can use it and have a little bit more fun in your raids in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, drop a like, maybe comment down below, or subscribe to the channel. All that stuff really, really helps me out. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. My link is down below. Also, the Discord link is down below. That's an awesome, awesome place to meet new people and get some Tarkov raids in. And the merch, I'm super excited about that. That link will be down below as well. We've been working on that for a while, and I'm super excited about it. But thank you, as always, for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.